Customer experience and user experience are often thought of as important, but individual processes and disciplines in their own right. Now, this applies to both research and how the outcomes are handled. So on this week's show, we'll be taking a very serious look at why and how experts tightly integrate CX, UX, and marketing in all that they do. Leading your field and getting the edge on your competitors is desirable in itself, but the focus of what we'll cover today could very realistically help you do just that. Hello, good morning. My name's James Rostance, and this is the 414 Live. Here, live and exclusive on LinkedIn Live each and every Thursday morning. So if you've never joined us before, or hopefully you have, you will know that this show is produced exclusively for you as a professional B2B marketer, whether you work in-house at a company or your agency side. Or indeed, if you're a company executive with a hands-on interest in your company's sales and market endeavors. And the promise to you is for you to expand and enhance your knowledge each and every week so that you can do better at your job and get better results for your company. So on this week's show then, we're going to be delving into the world of CX and UX and how true professionals integrate CX, UX and marketing all at the same time in a constant evolutionary type approach. Now, and to help me with that, today's going to be quite a special one because joining me all the way from Sardinia in southern Italy, please welcome live on the show, Debbie Levitt. Good morning, Debbie.
Thank you. Good morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. We've done a special thing with you this morning because you're in your podcast bunker. Is that now to explain the story to viewers and listeners? So we were going to do something slightly different today because Debbie is indeed live from Sardinia, and we were going to do the live link with her stood in a composed way on top of her house in Sardinia. But the wind down there, isn't it, Debbie? It's very changeable. And as we found, the picture was amazing, but wind in the microphone was a bit of a problem, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And there's only so much I can do about that without dragging out a lot of pro Tascam equipment. So this photo was taken from the roof so people can pretend I'm floating there in the green screen universe. But yeah, unfortunately, not only was it super windy this time of year, but it's actually about 30 degrees today. So I probably would have melted.
So there we go. And just for my own reference here, that's not a Corbis stock image from 5 years ago. That's a fresh one that you've taken yourself, isn't it? The one you see in the
I went up on the roof and I turned this way and I took the picture. So this is, a partly cloudy day in northeastern Sardinia.
There we go. Good. I'm all for authenticity and custom productions right there. Okay, well, hey, let's dive straight into it. And just to let everyone know watching, we will be doing live Q&A. So you will be able to put questions to Debbie through myself. I'm like a mediator in that sense. I will read them out and put them to Debbie as we dig into this whole concept of combining UX, CX, and marketing. So could we please start with you giving your way that you like to describe exactly what CX and UX is? How do you describe that to people?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have heard those terms and they are shifting a little bit lately. So the way that I and a lot of people in my industry see it is UX is typically what we are doing to research, architect, design, test, and come up with fantastic concepts and executions for digital products. So that's going to be your phones, your watches, your Tesla screens, your websites. But that tends to be thought of as just the digital product. But we really also have customer experience, which is this larger umbrella where it's everything that can touch the customer and that the customer can touch. So it becomes all of the customer's interactions with your brand. Now, that doesn't mean it's absorbing marketing. No. It means that it's a great opportunity for partnership with marketing. So think about the customer experience as everything someone could do with your company, products, services, experiences, but also kind of including that digital space.
Perfect. Well, with that laid out then, The first thing that I have my notes right here. The first thing we discussed, the first thing that we discussed was the concept of empathy, and I thought that was very interesting as a kind of driving force for understanding and getting a hold on all of this. So, could you let me know your take then on where empathy fits into all of this?
Yeah, so it's become a monster buzzword everywhere you go right now. You're seeing just have empathy, just create empathy. We need more empathy for customers. And I've just kind of noticed that empathy never seems to get us budgets and expanded timeframes. We never seem to go to a stakeholder and say, we found customers are having a problem, and the stakeholder is overwhelmed with empathy and says, "Oh my God, take my money, fix this." It's usually, well, how long can we have a terrible product out there until we're stuck fixing it? So I remind people that empathy is great, and feeling for and with your customers is great. Being able to take their perspectives because we deeply researched them and we understand them. We're not guessing and assuming. We really know what they're experiencing, so we can take their perspectives. That's great. That can make anybody's job better. But without knowledge and action, what have we really done? And have we done anything? And have we done the right thing? So we have to make sure that if we think we have empathy, that we have the knowledge, because we have done lots of great, deep, qualitative and quantitative research with people, not just surveyed them. And then we take the right actions. So it's still highly strategic. Everybody stop saying just have empathy. We can't do our jobs just with empathy. There's so much more we need to get right.
And I guess that links into research, in which case that marketing teams do. So how does CX and UX differ from the research that marketing teams generate?
Yeah, what I found, and of course, this is going to be a generalization. So someone out there is going to go, "That's not what I do." And I say, "Okay, I know." But I would say in general, what I find the difference is that marketing tends to do a lot of quantitative research, because it's great to know 37% of people said this, 52% of people would do this, and things like that. And so they tend to collect a lot of great data, but it doesn't always have the qualitative. It doesn't always feel completely actionable because, okay, 57% of people hit the sad face when they walked out of the bathroom at the airport, but what do we really know about why they're so sad? And so that's where we would hope that the quantitative research is done as kind of a reminder of, well, wait a minute, there's stuff we don't know. We need to spin up more qualitative research where we can interview customers, where we might observe them using our products and services or a competitor's. And so UX tends to be heavily focused on the qualitative of how we can get to know individuals and see the patterns across similar people. So where marketing has their segments, we've got our personas, they should come together. And so we want to bring the qualitative side to that, so we can add a lot of how and why and what color to the how many.
I've always thought when I've seen those quite is trite the right word for those smiley face, unhappy face?
I would say
satisfaction
incomplete.
measures.
It's incomplete, because I've seen people who walked into the bathroom looking like they were having a crap day and hit the sad face immediately. So was that a measure of the toilet, or was that a measure of their personal life in that moment? And we don't know until we take a look at our numbers and go, wow, we don't know the whys, we don't know the whats. And so the quantitative research can be great, but it should be used as a springboard for how can we learn more and color in the rest of this picture.
I really do like that, actually. So rather than just giving it almost lip service with a straightforward yes or no and giving yourself a pat on the back for having done some research, you're really championing right here, doing more than that and seeking to get more, as you say, qualitative data on that. All right. Could we use that example right there as how would you fix that? What would be a better way then of using that example to get better quantitative data?
Yeah, so there's so much more that we can learn about people than we know. If you hand me a survey, what do you know? I'm a woman who's somewhere between 45 and 54, which is true. And, I have 0 kids and I have all that. But how are you going to design a product around my real needs? How are you going to design something or create something that speaks to the tasks I need to accomplish that your company can provide? So, what I like to talk about here is I'm not telling marketing to stop doing their research or necessarily change. I'm talking about that partnership where marketing has data that we love and we need and helps inspire us to fill in the blanks of what we don't know. And then we've got all of this wild extra color and detail. And I try to remind people in marketing that when you boil me down to a 40-something-year-old woman, I get the weirdest ads and I get the most irrelevant stuff because everybody assumes I must have squeezed out 2.7 kids and have a Volvo. And I purposefully went the no kids route, and I drive a Piaggio MP3 motorcycle. So when you start sending me Happy Mother's Day and oh, your tender, beautiful Mother's Day, and it's back to school time, I go, wow, you don't know me at all. You put me in a meaningless bucket, and to me that's getting lazy. And I think in this age of predictive this and AI this and machine learning this, why don't you know me?
Would you say that B2C are perhaps worse oh, in fact, no, that's a loaded question. Who at the moment is best at this? There we go. B2C or B2B? And what are the differences between the two and their approaches to CX and UX?
Honestly, I think everyone's kind of a bit crap on this one. I think that the problem is so often in our companies, we just want to go with guesses and assumptions because guesses and assumptions sound good. They make me feel good because it was my guess and maybe I'm right. We think we save time and money guessing and assuming. So whether it's a B2B guessing about what customers are really doing with that copy machine or really doing in that hotel room, or it's the B2C guessing what you really do when you send me this bottle of tea tree oil on Amazon. The problem is we don't know. We don't know enough. We're guessing and assuming, thinking that's going to save us time and money. And very often companies get embarrassed in the long run with some of these moves. I mean, if we can we name names on this show?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. So in 2018, Skype had to announce that their redesign of Skype was a giant failure and that the things that they put into the system were things nobody liked or wanted. And the visual design went overboard. And the rumor was they spent tens of millions of dollars on that. That means putting product people to work, UX people to work, marketing people to work, tech engineers to work, only to come out with something that people were like, what the F is this? And so how did they not know that more upfront? Now, marketing could say, we did a survey and 57% of people think the sound of these features are awesome. And I say, we should have looked for that more color because some of these mistakes are expensive. Some of them are high risk. Some of them embarrass us in public. They affect our stock price. So there's so much more that we need to look at and think at other than, well, people said they wanted a blue cup, so we made blue cups.
I'm just wondering, how on earth could they have got that wrong? Do you know if they did?
I can only guess. No one will tell me. I know people who work in that department and they're like, we can't tell you anything. We can only say you tell a good story. So I don't know for sure. I don't work there. No one has told me. But my thought was, where were the CX and UX people in this process? Because if someone says, hey, we think Skype should look more like Snapchat because this is how it started, then normally I should pop up and go, hey, why don't we validate or invalidate that assumption? Do people really want Skype to look like Snapchat? I can do all kinds of qualitative research with people and learn what they think of Snapchat, what they think of Skype, how they use each of these, and what's missing, and try to determine what is the right product for Microsoft, because it could have been nothing. It could have been changing Skype into Snapchat. It could have been spinning off a whole other version. In America, everybody knows PayPal, but in America, PayPal also has a service called Venmo, and Venmo is PayPal for millennials. I hear I'm too old to use it. So, but it's PayPal with just a little bit of a different user experience, a little bit different of visual design. And Skype could have done that. They could have invented blah, 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 which is their Snapchat-y thing. So there's so much we need to learn about what our customers truly need, what their tasks and jobs to be done are, so that we're creating the right stuff for them. So then marketing has a better chance of selling it. Marketing hates when they have to start trying to sell a loser.
which is doing things the wrong way around, I guess, inherently. I really like the fact that you've got a good example there, because normally the example of things being done wrong goes back to the 80s when the Coke and New Coke example gets thrown out. But now finally we've got a well-known B2B example in this millennium as well.
Yeah, and Snapchat's more B2B. They messed that up as well. But yeah, it can't all be New Coke, because New Coke's a great example of, well, we surveyed people and they said they liked the taste of this, but you didn't do enough to learn people's mental models around Coke and how they perceived it. And you say it's a lifestyle brand. Well, then what does that mean?
Yes, actually, that is a good demonstration, isn't it, of the more factors at play. So the straightforward yes, no in that case would
Tastes
be,
good.
does it taste good? Does it not taste good? Yes.
Would you like it to replace what you've been drinking your whole life? Ah!
Yes. Hey, you know what? I think I'm taking this for granted, but just as a quick recap for viewers and listeners who may not be familiar with the Coke New Coke story, would you care to just give us a brief overview of what happened there?
Yeah, I think I was in high school and I wasn't a Coke drinker, as I'm deathly allergic to caffeine. But from what I remember, obviously we had Coke, the time-tested formula from the 1920s that thankfully, or whatever it was, that eventually took the cocaine out but retained the name. And basically someone at some point had decided to taste test some new flavors and ideas. And they found that this formula was doing well in their focus groups or in their taste tests. And someone decided, great, let's swap out the old for the new. But then people lost their everything. They lost their minds, because where's my old Coke? And now obviously Coke learned a lot from that, because everything they've done since then was to roll out new things. It's vanilla Coke, it's cherry Coke, or to even roll out completely different brands. You're not drinking Coke water, you're drinking Dasani bottled water. And, tap water bottled in America. Seriously, it's purified tap water, but it's fancy tap water. So now they realize there are some things that you just can't change, and so for risk alienating people. And so just because you come up with something that's great, it takes a lot deeper research, almost ethnographic research, to look at societies and people and how they view your product in their liwe
Beautifully put. Right.
Why, thank you. Unrehearsed.
Yeah, I know. You did warn me that it would just flow when we were talking and going into these things.
Ask me anything.
Boom, and you're delivering. Yes. Just before we came on the air, Debbie did say you can go in whatever order you want to. It's fine.
Forget the notes. Throw them. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Right now would be a good time to tell you what. I'll do the on-screen scrolling text. There we go. If there's a question you'd like to put to Debbie about CX UX and integrating into your marketing, please do put in the comments section now what you would like to ask her, or indeed anything you would like clarification on in relation to certainly what you're doing and your company. This is a great opportunity to get a live on-air one-on-one consultation with your needs, problems, and I guess goals as well. There you go. So
the doctor is in. Yeah.
Yes, I need to get a jingle produced for that. That's a good idea. I like that. Right now,
only if you let me sing it.
Right. We can record that and get that done somehow. All right. Now, this is an interesting one. The strategic and practical process of design thinking. This is something you've got an opinion on. Could you please tell me?
Yeah, the shortest version of this is that design thinking is unfortunately kind of garbagey and meaningless. Nobody's saying just have marketing thinking. Think about customers. What would they like to be sold? Sell it to them. And so design thinking thinks that it's adopting some sort of process that I use, but it's really not. It's an oversimplification. I like to say, design thinking where it says step 1, empathize. Hold on, James, I'm empathizing. Don't interrupt me. To me, I can't turn off my empathy. So I don't get step 1, empathize, because if you can't interrupt me doing it, it's not a step. And then step 2, understand the problem. Step 3, ideate. Step 4, prototype. Step 5, test. These are like, the Fisher-Price version. I don't know the British equivalent of Fisher. Your Fisher-Price there?
Yeah, we've got that. Yes.
This is the Fisher-Price version of what I do. And unfortunately, companies are thinking, oh, wow, we just need to get a bunch of people in a room, tell them to empathize. which I already warned you could be garbage, and then have them sketch solutions. And I say, the funny thing about that is marketing never holds a workshop or a meeting for everyone to sketch marketing solutions. Marketing never calls in engineers and product managers and says, would you help us sketch our campaigns? We just can't do this without you. Now they can be collaborators and say, we're thinking about these campaigns. What do you guys, or initiatives, what do you guys think from your angles? But you want to do your job and I want to do mine. And when I see everybody getting in a room and sketching and then voting on it and deciding that's what we're doing, I say, where's the customer? Where's the customer? Did we just guess at them? And then did we run a American Idol popularity contest and try to rush something out to them?
That's a beautiful way of describing it. And I think you've made the case there nicely for that.
I've got hours on this, so this is the short version. But basically, if you mean a great CX and UX process, just say that. We call it user-centered design or human-centered design. We have a huge process with lots of tasks and phases. If you mean design thinking, say design thinking. That's a simple 5-step process that anyone can get certified to do, even kids. And it can solve coronavirus, as I read in Fortune magazine.
Can it?
Well, if it can, it's a little bit late. But in January, I read an article in Fortune that said design thinking can solve coronavirus because the government of China should empathize more and ideate more.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, problem solved. Thanks, everybody.
The solution to so many of the world's problems and challenges. Right, you've heard it here first. All right.
Yeah. I don't. Are you a Monty Python fan? Do you remember when Monty Python did How to Play the Flute and it was blow here and move your fingers here?
I've not seen that sketch.
Okay. It's a bit of that.
I do keep seeing clips on Facebook pop up of Life of Brian.
Oh, okay. No, this was one of the episodes, and it was like supposed to be a how to do it chat show, and it was like, how to rid the world of all known diseases. Well, first discover a marvelous cure for something so that the medical profession will really take notice of you, and then tell them what to do so there's never any diseases again.
Right. God, prophetic, I think is the word. Yeah. There we go. Right. I suppose transitioning from Monty Python back onto the superhighway of CX and UX design, we're going to talk now about behavior triggers. Now, that they are a key part of it. What are they, and why are they important?
Yeah, I kind of made this up. So if somebody's doing this and you named it something else, congratulations. But basically, for me, the idea of a behavior trigger is so often marketing has these metrics and says, X% of people are tire kickers. They didn't buy a cruise from our website. They must not really want the cruise. They must not be able to afford the cruise. Everybody starts guessing and assuming why our customers didn't buy. But what do we really know? And why didn't we save that sale? So I'm trying to push the idea of a behavior trigger, which is I was shopping on a cruise website. I couldn't check out. I gave up. You lost my business. Of course, the next morning I woke up to a cart recovery email. You're trying to save my business. I still couldn't check out. What if we wrote in technology that actively looked for people who get error messages while checking out? Then if the error messages pop up, we can have maybe a live chat, just a little peek on the bottom, not a pop-up, don't do the pop-up, but we could do a little peek and say, looks like you're having trouble checking out. Can we help you out? And have some rep who can see my screen or see what's in my cart save that sale. Marketing wants to say, X% of people bought. Debbie can't afford a cruise. Debbie's 48. She might not buy a cruise on her first visit to the site. You made up so many stories about me. What if we could save that sale in the moment with more proactive technology? And that way I don't end up a sad metric later. So I call those behavior triggers. You're looking for something I'm doing in the digital space, possibly the real space, and then have the technology act on that in the moment and try to save the relationship.
I can see that actually would be relatively simple to implement.
Yes,
But
it
a
needs fine
very strong
tuning. That's where
concept,
it
though.
gets funky. Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
think it's worth talking about and thinking about, and it's going to need fine tuning. We don't want things to pop up for people if they set up multiple triggers. We're going to have to watch things carefully. Like I was telling you before the program that I had started canceling stuff with a company I was doing business with. They didn't seem to care or notice. Months later, sent me an NPS score email. I gave them -1,000, and then they were like, "Gee, what's going wrong?" And I'm like, where were you? I threatened to cancel in multiple support tickets that couldn't solve my problem. And then I started canceling. Those could be behavior triggers, language in customer support tickets, watching someone start to cancel or utilize the service less. We should be proactive about that. We can't wait to send someone an NPS score to learn they're angry or they left.
Because that very much is what's that expression about trying to close the stable door after the donkey's kicked?
Yeah, the horses have run out of the barn. They ran
Yeah.
out a year ago, and then we're like, "Hey, what'd you think of the barn? Barn sucked. We left. Where were you?" Sorry, now I'm
Yeah.
all on fire.
You are, and I can see how that indeed completing the NPS score would indeed be a marketing function completed. But in actual fact, that's in this context a failure because you've lost the customer. You've probably got someone then saying negative things about you and telling X number of friends about that. Whereas this approach of behavior triggers could have turned that around to a complete positive.
What if, I mean, think about yourself. Be selfish a moment. Can you think about a time a company lost you and you start thinking, wow, there's like three moments, three touch points where they could have saved this relationship. They could have saved this sale, but nobody did anything, and I was just here struggling, turtle on back, and I couldn't get it done. And I said, forget this company. You can think about those times, and that way marketing can work with CX and UX, who of course has to bring in the technology side on how do we create these and fine tune them, get customer support ready so that they can pop up a little, would you like to chat? Because you appear to be having some problems, though somebody write that better than I just said it. And that way we can save these sales before they're sad, depressing metrics. Because I could be an 8, NPS 8, bunch of bad customer support tickets, 1.
Right. And actually, this right now links back to the whole premise of our episode here today, this week, of the concept of marketing integrated beautifully with CX and UX. That's how you do it. I'd love it if you were to develop some kind of white paper on that particular point, actually, on the concept of behavior triggers. Or have you already done
I'm
that?
not in love, sort of. I'm not a big lover of white papers because I feel like people's attention span for reading is getting less and less. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on your podcast, but I do my own podcast. And
Yeah.
so what I do is I cut some of my ideas, suggestions, hypotheses, models, things I've invented, things I hope I've improved, and I put them out there in kind of video form. And so if people want to check out the Delta CX channel on YouTube and check out our podcasts, I also do a Tuesday office hours Ask Me Anything, where I really do take any questions. Someone showed up a couple of weeks ago and asked why there is a D in fridge when refrigerator has no D. So it is truly Ask Me Anything, though typically I'm talking about CX and UX. I was able to answer that one though, but I do have a podcast called Two New Models: Behavior Triggers and Empathy Knowledge Action, which we talked about at the beginning of the show as well. So I don't tend to do white papers. I feel like they're a little. Who wants to read all that stuff? I just put it out as a YouTube video and let people run me at 1.5x and drink it in.
Yes, because that's the new thing. I'm doing my Audible books at 1.5 now. I feel I've entered a kind of a Premier League of content consumers being able to process it at that speed. Right, back to the topics in hand. So secrets to success is very much aligning CX and UX. What other thoughts do you have and guidance can you give on how to actually make that happen within a business, or indeed for our agency viewers and listeners, how they would be able to do that in their agency for end clients?
Yeah, I think there's two key things there, if I can remember both.
That was a
But
long
ultimately,
question. Yes, yes. So I
yeah,
keep
that was.
doing that. Let me
Um,
try and rephrase it for you. Okay. So
I know I've got an answer. I've got an answer.
yeah.
Let me run with it and see what happens.
Okay.
So I think number one, especially on the non-agency side, there's a lot of place where CX and UX with marketing can partner. And I think what would be great is if marketing starts with their KPIs, their OKRs, their metrics, the outcomes they're looking for, and comes to CX and UX and says, "What can you guys do that helps us make this happen?" Just even an open-ended question like that would start amazing things happening, possibly innovations and disruptions, but at least good customer experiences. So if marketing came to us and said, our site's not converting very well, our SEO is good, but we just can't seem to do that, or we've got bad P1M1, we don't have people converting from their trials to paid. Hey, CX and UX, what do you know about this? What can you do? And just for someone to ask me that, don't come to me and go, Debbie, do this. Put a blue button here. Let me just do what I do and say, how can you help us better achieve our goals, better make customers happy, better make the business happy? I want to have that conversation with marketing, and that's going to lead us to spin up fantastic projects. It's going to make your public facing website better, which very often marketing has been trying to make themselves without CX and UX. Many of us who've worked in websites for 10, 20 years, like, hello, please let us help you. One guy that I work with, he has like, he can make 26% conversion rates. And marketing is usually like, gee, I hope we can make 3 or 4. Hello, there's real magic we can weave. So thing one is just come to us with your goals and let us dream up some projects together that we can work on with you, because we might surprise you. And then on the agency side, I think there's so much more that agencies can do with CX and UX, because the agencies I worked at in San Francisco mostly thought, sadly, not all of them, some of them I have nothing but great memories of, but some of them were like, UX, yeah, you guys just kind of sketch pretty screens, right? No. Well, then if you sketch pretty screens, let's just give that to a junior graphic designer. Well, that's what you told me in my interview. That's what you were doing, and it was failing. So I think at least on the agency side, we have to remember that UX isn't a sketched screen. It's not a wireframe. It's not a layout. It's not a mock-up. Good UX done right, good CX done right is a huge process. You know, people think we all came from art school. I have a degree in music after dropping pre-med. I took physics with calculus. And so I am more on we are scientific and psychologically based. Everything in UX, our core principles are human psychology. So there's a lot we can bring to projects, especially projects surrounding mental models about the pandemic. That's something I'm working on right now, are specialized research projects for marketing managers and branding agencies who are trying to figure out, what do our customers really think and need and want now, and what about in the future? Because we can't all read the same Gartner report and say we're all in this together. That didn't work.
Yes. Well, I really like the way that you've presented that. In that, I'm taking from this, the number one flaw in all of this is a misunderstanding of what CX and UX designers actually do.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
Well, it would be like marketing. You guys send out emails, right?
Yes, and color the occasional thing in as well. Yeah.
Oh, you put banner ads on my pages, right? You know, you guys have some of the same problem. People don't understand the complexities of coming up with goals. What are these goals? Why are they important and strategic to the company? How will we measure them? Why do they matter? What more can we know? There's so much, and what role does marketing play in even what products and services should we make? They're so important. UX is crazy important, and people seem to think they are the page sketchers, and anyone can do that. Product, I can sketch a page. Developers, yeah, I can sketch a page. Holy cats, you don't really know the stuff that we do. Get to know us.
What would you give then as guidance for how to get a better understanding? I mean, much deeper in the abilities and what the role of a CX and UX designer actually can do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of a lot of our companies didn't fully understand it at the company level, they sometimes hired what they thought the model was. So sometimes people working at your companies are great at sketching screens, and they don't really follow the whole UX or CX process. They're not invested in great research. They're not invested in testing a concept while it's still a prototype before engineers even build it or before it goes into your hotel. So I think if you've got great UX people, even just in your LinkedIn networks, some of you have been like, man, the UX people working at our company, I don't know, they just seem like they draw stuff. That's fine. Go out to your network and look for people whose titles say UX strategist, UX analyst, UX specialist, UX researcher. Find someone who's deeply specialized in more of that scientific side to what we do. Send them a note. Hi, I'm in marketing. I would love to better understand what UX does and how we could work together. If someone does not immediately schedule a video call with you, I will hit them with a tennis racket. They should absolutely reach out to them, and they should reach back. So, if you guys want to talk to me, I will happily talk to everybody about this stuff, because it is not fully understood, just like sometimes marketing is misunderstood.
I think that's an awesome way of approaching it, and yeah, I'm certainly the same with that. If I don't understand something, or I can see that something is worth getting a handle on, I will set about doing some strong
Find
research.
the experts.
Yeah.
Don't ask the junior graphic designer what UX is. Go find the best expert you can. It's like someone on LinkedIn, especially if they actively post on LinkedIn and they're hanging out there. Ask them. We want to help.
Well, in that case, where are we now? It's 12:05 here in the UK and 1:05, I guess, in Italy. We should wrap this up, but
no questions. You're killing me.
We haven't had questions come up on, well, not on my screen here.
I've answered all the questions.
I think so. You've charged through a lot of content and given a solid answer. We'll tell you what, there is a bit of a delay for me saying this now live versus when it actually goes to air. I think it's about 20 or 30 seconds. So I will say now, right, if you've got one last question that you'd like to put to Debbie before we wrap up for the day, please put it in the comment section on LinkedIn now, and I will fire that to her. Right, there we go. So we'll wait 30 seconds for that to come up. Whilst we're doing that, what would you like to give as and hope that people take away from all of this?
Partnership. I think whether you're at in a corporate job, B2B, B2C, whether you're doing government work, whether you're at an agency, I can't think of a single type of business that could not benefit both financially and from the customer satisfaction side, from closer relationship between UX and CX, UX and marketing. These are things that have often gone misunderstood, and we've often fought. Marketing's typically been my enemy because they've come to me and said, put more ads on this page. But there are things we can find in common and ways that we can make this work better to everybody's advantage. Because let's face it, if we are not creating customer satisfaction, if we're not understanding and solving for customers' real needs and real tasks, none of us have a job. We can try to kiss stakeholder butts and we can try to bump numbers and whatever. But if we can't make customers happy, what have we really done? So we just have to refocus on customer value and the quality of what we are doing.
Beautiful. And in fact, perhaps in keeping with that, Genesio de Rossa, Italian, gives it a thumbs up.
Ciao.
Thank you. Yes, there we go. No
Back
question.
At you.
A straight, sincere demonstration of endorsement and I guess appreciation of everything that you've covered today. Genesio de Rossa. Sorry, there we go. I've got the
Grazie.
Right. Hey, well, hey, look, Debbie Levitt, live from Sardinia today. Thank you ever so much for joining us and giving us a really good insight into the world of CX and UX, and crucially, how and why that should be continually integrated in marketing.
Yes, let's be partners.
Right.
Thank you, James.
Debbie, thanks so much. All right. So if you've enjoyed watching, then please do, if you're not already subscribed, visit the 414.net web address on screen for all subscription options and to check out previous episodes. That's always a good one because every single episode we've done over the past 2 years now is on there. And of course, follow us on LinkedIn and connect with me personally on LinkedIn if you're not already a connection there too. So there we go. This has been the 414 here, live and exclusive to LinkedIn Live each and every week for you as a professional B2B marketer or company executive with a hands-on knowledge and interest in your company's B2B sales and marketing. We'll be here same time next week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you then.